We wait. And we have one. Hello. Never takes too long to get viewers. No. This is my channel. We can do whatever we want here.
So I can flash you here?
Yeah, you can flash me here. Just, try not to have it in the glasses. I don't know. YouTube probably has their own standards.
I see myself.
Yeah. All right. Letting them get into the thing. I want to get to where I can see all the viewers. Hello, Sunny. Hello, elegantly yours. And all the other people that didn't say hello. Right away, as I start this show, broadcast. It's a show. It's always a show. Hey, Leela. I want to put a shout out and a thanks to Freedom Lightworks on Etsy. If you're a pot smoker, you might want to visit Freedom Lightworks on Etsy. They were nice enough to send Uncle Birch a brand new glass pipe. They make pipes. And he noticed that on one of my videos, we kept poking, we had to keep poking our pipe because it's clogged. And usually, I tend to just smoke with a glass pipe and it's too clogged to use and then throw it away.
You like poking the pipes.
Yeah. And then, somebody out there is going to be stoked to find a glass pipe filled with resin, and it's going to be the best day in their life. I don't want to smoke resin and do all that kind of crap, so or just pretty much use a pipe until it's useless. I can't use it anymore. So one of my students is a pipe maker, apparently. Freedom Lampworks at Etsy. Check them out. Puffing on legal homegrown here in Oregon. Yeah, Sonny. We're doing, I think it's the Cali Kush, one of the popular brands around here. I'm not sure which strain we're doing today because I put it in a different jar. But Freedom Lampworks on Etsy, man. Check them out. Tell them Birch sent you. Maybe you get a discount if Uncle Birch sent you. I don't even know how that works. But thanks for the pipe. Here it is in use. As you can see, we've been using it, only had it for a day or so, and it's getting some color. All right, let's see. So we got some people in here. Decent crowd. I'm sure it'll get better. Let me see. Is there a way to share this? Share the show. Share the show on my Facebook. Sharing the show. Here I go. Sharing the show. All right. That'll get us a whole bunch of more people too. Hello, I'm Uncle Birch. My kid's walking up here. What do you need?
Something's wrong with the Xbox.
Like what?
Let's not let me play Roblox.
I'll be right back. Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes to get in here, and we'll do it. Oh, I'm sorry. Some of my fatherly duties involve tech support. Message retracted. Ooh, wonder what they said. Anyway, you're on my channel, so you probably know I'm Uncle Birch. I teach witchcraft for a living. That's my thing. I'm on this teaching frenzy right now. I have 3 year-in-a-day courses going at the same time. Well, they're all like in different orders. I started them at different months. But demand seems to be high, so I keep having to schedule a The next class starting November 1st. And one of the ways that I get ready for all of the new kids that are going to be asking me a whole bunch of random questions is exposing myself to the internet, answering random questions about witchcraft. I learn some of the questions that the kids these days are asking and some of the bullshit that's out there. Citizen 333. Oh, is that you? Oh, thanks for the pipe. I'm gonna be, every time I smoke it, I'm gonna plug your shop. Okay. We've got to help each other out, and then maybe we'll be able to afford more classes and more classes and more classes. Just help you sell some pipes, and then it'll help us both. Yeah. Anyway, I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. Oh, well, that's I do this as a community service, and as you are helping me be ready for all the random shit that I'm going to be asked out there, and some of the disinformation that's available out there on the internet. Already, Sonny said, I have an Aubrey Camino plant in my garage, and it's flowering, producing seed. Pretty happy about that. Yeah, see, we may have to talk, because if this doesn't work, this will be my second attempt at growing Aubrey Camino from a live plant from Florida. The first one was so in shock it just didn't make it. This one's kind of struggling, but it's doing pretty good. I've been talking to it, giving it some wooge and stuff. It's not really, California is not really where you grow Aubrey Camino, but I was told it could be done. When I heard that, I said, well, if it can be done, I can do it. I'm a witch. It's a witch plant. Aubrey Camino, you're going to do well, but you, Sonny, keep in touch, because I may need to hit you up for some seeds if it doesn't work out. When you grow a thing from seed, and it springs in that environment, it tends to do better than a plant that came from a total alien environment, got stuffed in a box, spent a couple days with hardly any air and no sun, and then I haven't even transplanted it yet, because I'm trying to wait for it to get past this stage before I deliver any more shock to it. But I am working on growing Aubrey Camino where it's not really intended to grow. But we will see. At the very least, I'll have like an ounce or so of Aubrey Camino for like 25 bucks. Not very lucrative, but whatever. But yeah, that's good. Seeding. I'm not even sure. Mine could be seeding. I need to check. I don't know what the seeds are, but I did look for Aubrey Camino seeds, and they're hard to find. Those of you that don't know what we're talking about, this is the whole thing that we're here for. Here's teaching. Aubrey Camino is the plant that its name in Spanish literally means road opener. If you find a spell out there that's called road opening, you are leaning towards the African traditions. That's where that came from. And if you don't have Aubrey Camino in your whatever road opening you're doing, however you're doing that, you're not road opening.
And a lot of, just want to put out there,
Yeah.
a lot of like contour shops and stuff, they'll have road opening dried.
Yeah.
So you absolutely have to get it dried.
Yeah. I mean, usually, up till now, I buy it dried for the stuff that I make in the shop and for my own purposes. But we try to grow stuff, as much stuff as we can grow on our little rooftop veranda thing here. It's a fucking Garden of Eden up here. And most of them useful plants that some of them are nice flowers that wife likes. Most of the stuff, useful plants, some of those have nice flowers too. So, going to try Aubrey Camino next. We'll see how that works out. But Aubrey Camino is the plant that means road opening. So if you're road opening, you need that plant. There are other things for removing obstacles, breaking down walls, that kind of thing, from different traditions. But if you say the word road opening, you are talking about some African and Latino traditions that have that. And the actual name, Aubrey Camino, means road opening. So you gotta have that. Gotta have it. I'm just kind of turning this so I can see how many people. It's a decent crowd on a Sunday afternoon. I trust you all went to church and you're done with that.
We haven't gone to church yet today.
Oh, we haven't gone to church yet today. All right. It's early. Hey, dog. Azzy. Hey,
Azzy.
will you look at the camera? Say hi. Say hi to the people. Don't lick the camera. He was gonna lick the camera. Yeah. So we're just up here chilling, having some snacks.
Bloody Marys.
Wife's having Bloody Marys.
Smoked oysters.
Smoked oysters. Smoked some bowls. Talking about witchcraft. That's what we do
With my favorite person.
with my favorite person. Talking about witchcraft. So we do this thing called Ask Uncle Birch.
Yes.
It helps me be ready for my work, and hopefully it helps you all. November 1st, just a half a month away, roughly right now. I'll be starting another year in a day course, and you can, if you want more information about that, or you want to sign up for it, you got to contact me at WitchSkewl@gmail.com, which is of course WitchSkewl. You probably picked that up on my channel by now, but WitchSkewl@gmail.com. I host my courses on gumroad.com/witchschool. That's gum like gum on your shoe, road like the road over here, and .com/witchschool. Again, WitchSkewl. I have entire courses already up there. I took about 2 years off from doing my standard year in a day courses because I kept running into these millennial type witches that wanted to just binge watch. They wanted to binge watch a year in a day course in a couple days and just sit there and take the whole course, download it, and so you got to give the people what they want. That's not traditional. That's not the way things are done. Well, teaching on YouTube was not traditional or the way things were done. I'm doing it about 10 years now, so clearly I'm not held back by that. So I have a number of courses already up there, downloadable in various subjects. I have my old year in a day courses downloadable at a lower rate, and I think I split them. So you take half at a time, and I think they even made some packages with the first level and the second level. I've got all kinds of things, different subjects. Spiritual warfare, the art of magical warfare, these kind of things that I just don't teach on YouTube. All up at my site, gumroad.com/witchschool. Just try not to click on a class that says year in a day, because those are the year in a day courses that are already going. The November 1st class will appear somewhere around midnight, October 31st. And I will send out notifications to people that contacted me about that. It doesn't actually appear until that time. You will not be able to, even the people that I've set aside slots for, will not be able to join until that time. There's a certain amount of slots that are available when the class opens on November 1st. But if you contact me ahead of time, I can reserve your spot, and it won't take away from those spots that are in there. And then November 1st, you just have to go there and click, and you're in. So contact me at WitchSkewl@gmail.com. WitchSkewl@gmail.com. WitchSkewl. So if you haven't played the game before, we do this thing called Ask Uncle Birch. There are only a couple of rules because I'm an anarchist and I don't like that kind of shit. Try not to ask me a question when I'm answering your question. Try not to be too long-winded. See how my rule do that, okay? That would be cool to try not to do that. That'd be great. If you could try not to ask me questions while I'm answering your question, that'd be great. And it's a good idea to copy your questions so you can paste them, because I typically will miss questions several times. Because I will become distracted if I see another question. I will look away while I'm answering and try not to look at that. Otherwise, two different parts of my brain will be going down two different witchcraft paths. And while there is always time to change the road you're on, you might not want to be on two at the same time. Ask Uncle Birch. You got a question about magic, witchcraft, even the stuff I don't even practice. I've answered questions about voodoo even. It's remarkably well. ceremonial magic even. Got a bit of foot in there too. Help me and it helps you. The law of exchange, the oldest law in witchcraft. For everything that is taken, left hand, something must be given. Right hand. Actually, you should do it. For everything that is taken, left hand, something must be given. Right hand. For everything that is taken, something must be given. We are exchanging. You're helping me with your questions. I'm hopefully helping you. Do practitioners of Apollo have to kill chickens and stuff? I think there may be some hybrids out there in this day and age that may not be considered particularly valid within Apollo. But yes, and it's usually a rooster, not a chicken. And while people may have their varying views on this kind of stuff, chickens are raised for food. These are animals that were raised to be eaten. And there are cultures that eat the roosters. Chinese foods does roosters. Other people do roosters. But the problem is with raising chickens for food, you can only have one rooster. You can only have one rooster at any other place. They'll fight, they'll kill each other. That's what roosters fucking do. So roosters are often slaughtered off or sent off, but most often just killed outright because they already have a rooster. So the rooster's, not missing anything. The rooster's going to get killed for nothing. Maybe they're going to use it for food, but typically in each situation they can only have one rooster unless they have ways to separate roosters with different chickens. But then still, you got a whole pack of chickens and one rooster for each pack of chickens. They're made a small commodity. They will be slaughtered. And this is what I always try and say to people, is like, if you're a vegan, okay, you might get to play some moral card against the traditions that commit these kind of sacrifices. But if you aren't, I don't want to hear about it. I've seen many roosters meet their end, and all of which treated with great respect, ritually blessed, embraced, petted on their heads. I always petted them on their heads. Much better than they're going to get in the factory farm thing. And in the typical factory farm thing, they don't even save the roosters to be sold to Chinese food and that kind of stuff. They just kill every rooster that's born after they have enough roosters. They have so many roosters that they can keep contained for each batch of chickens, and then every other rooster that's born, they're fucking killed. Kind of like the Chinese used to do to girls. And only wanted men for a long time, and then almost made their gene pool extinct as a result. But so there's that. The roosters are typically just going to be slaughtered. The chickens are going to be slaughtered. There may be other Palos that use chickens, but in the Palo that I've seen where they killed a thing, it's a rooster. I've heard of goats, haven't seen a goat in that context. Good question. Most people won't answer. It's my channel. I do what I want. Would your courses benefit someone who does not want to go down the Palo path? Well, yeah, I don't teach Palo. What I just did here is probably more than I've taught about Palo ever. I've been a witch 40 plus years. I was teaching almost immediately. I know this shit. I've been Palo for a few years. I've been a Tata in Palo for a few years. With respect to that tradition, even my arrogant ass isn't arrogant enough to say that I can teach it, that I know enough to teach it. Witchcraft is rather different. When I initiate somebody in witchcraft, to me, it's a ritual marking an occasion that already occurred, kind of like a birthday party. You're already born that day. Now we're gonna have cake and sing and shit. the trials and tribulations that you went through before each initiation process, you already went through. You achieved those benefits. We're going to now have a ritual marking what you already did. It may, does tend to have a change on people. But when I was initiated into Apollo, I had a machete in between my teeth. And they asked me my name. I said my name, and they said, "You don't know shit. This is your name." They asked me another question. And I answered it. Said, "You don't know shit. This is the answer to that question." This went on several times in that vein, but it was made clear in that tradition, upon initiation, you don't know shit. Even upon initiation into a priesthood, you don't know shit. You know the shit that you got from Engeo, which is like the first degree initiation process, but you don't know shit. You don't know shit until the initiation. The initiation is what causes you to know shit. So, no, I don't teach any Apollo. May talk about certain concepts here and there. They may come up, but I don't teach Apollo. I am not the type of godfather that's looking for godchildren to scratch and fill my house. What you got?
Small fire near Frank and I Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah, clearly it was under the bridge because you can see it coming out at both ends. Let's see. I saw a question I may have missed. You ever evoked Kabbalistic archangels? Well, yeah. You go to my page here and look at the big A pentagram method. There you go. Witches of my age were raised on the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and variations that witches made off of borrowing pieces of the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Even Gerald Gardner's work was borrowing from that. Anytime you see yourself carving pentagrams in the air with a tool, a blade, or something like that, somewhere down the line, somebody borrowed something from the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram of the ceremonialists. And to do that ritual, it absolutely requires the Kabbalistic God names and the archangels. And likewise, the Kabbalistic cross, which is all Kabbalistic names as well. So a large amount of Kabbalah all the way back from the beginning. And when I was a kid, they said that, when they were reforming witchcraft and different groups were meeting and exchanging ideas, when they finally started to organize again, there was some people had entire books of shadows that were intact, they said. And a large amount of material, the majority of the material, referred to doing this ritual, that ritual, the other ritual in a circle. Yet nobody had in any of their writings the ritual to perform a circle. The ceremonialists, however, were of a different class. Where the witches might have been the peasant class, the ceremonialists were the elite. Tended to, be richer than we were, and often, if you go far enough back, the ancestors of the ceremonialists all worked for kings, rulers, and all the way down to Queen Elizabeth. I think it was Arthur Edward Waite and the other guy. God, I forget his name now. But they worked for these magicians are. But at any rate, their magics were not destroyed. A lot of witchcrafts were. A lot of books of shadows, a lot of our books were burned or stolen and hauled off to the Vatican archives where, only priests can ever see them. Not so much with the ceremonialists. Their magics remained intact. Witchcraft and even Wicca has borrowed quite liberally from ceremonial magic, and I admit it, Gardner admitted it. John D., thank you very much. Daniel John D. worked for the Queen. John D. wrote the Book of Black Magic and of Pacts. Again, Daniel. Get a brownie point, Daniel. Yeah, sometimes I'll draw a blank because I'm talking too fast. Yeah, so a lot of witchcraft are from ceremonial. I teach my students the closest variation that witchcraft used to the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram as the format for starting out our ritual circles. Because the game of telephone. The game of telephone causes us most of our problems here in witchcraft. You know, things get repeated ear to ear. People try to have oral traditions, and stuff gets lost along the way. And stuff gets repeated. They forget about things. So I know my students are going to adapt and change the things that I originally give them, and that's what we want them to do. I want to start them with the oldest model that I can, so that when they've tweaked it in their own way, we still have a more intact model than if I just came out and said, oh, just do whatever you want. Whatever you feel, intent is all that matters. Class difference is seldom talked about thing. Well, absolutely, and I would take that all the way back to Gerald Gardner. Now, when Gerald Gardner was doing his thing over in merry old England and putting together what would later be called Wicca, that he never called Wicca, here in America there was this other thing going on that would eventually come together with Wicca. Over here was this neo-pagan movement, which had some similarities because Gardner incorporated so much paganism into his ritual. These went side by side. But over here in the neo-pagan movement, our ancestors there were literally rolling around in the dirt. If you see the old movies of Woodstock, the mud people were neo-pagans. They were a neo-pagan faction existing in the 60s. Neo-paganism flourished in America during the 60s. And this becomes part of our ancestors. This becomes part of the whole, whether we're acknowledging Gardner and this, but here in America, they mesh, and they were made to mesh. But over here, our neo-pagan ancestors are literally down in the dirt, fucking in the mud. Gardner's people were not doing that at all. While they acknowledged the powers of earth, air, fire, and water and the connection to nature, they rarely spent a whole lot of time in nature. And when they were there, they really didn't get any mud or blood or wine spilled on them. Gardner's people were a more upper middle class, middle age British kind of thing. They were kind of bored. Very different than our hippie ancestors over here. Literally, communing with fucking nature, getting nature up in their junk and shit. So somehow these forces come together, and people don't talk about that. But it's a very different class dynamic there too. And you think of the upper class or the middle upper class Brits, middle-aged, middle upper class Brits, and these teenage hippies rolling around in the dirt. These all come together and bring us what we know as Wicca and paganism or neo-paganism in this day and age. It especially flourishes in America because things go back and forth. Gardner's stuff came over here mixed with neo-paganism, then our version of it, that goes over across the pond over there too. Greatly affects them. It affects the whole. But originally, the originators of Gardnerian didn't tend to get a whole lot of dirt on them. And they had very, very nice clothes. Velvet clothes with silk lining. I don't know. I'm just paraphrasing, I guess. All right, so somehow that was a question or a statement that led me to a thing. We're doing this thing called Ask Uncle Birch. I'm getting ready for my next class to start November 1st at gumroad.com/witchskewl. WTCHSKEWL. Yes, Tyrone, you probably are my favorite Christian. Good to see you on deck. Wait, wrong side. There we go. Good to see you, Tyrone. So I expose myself to the random questions of witches all over the world to help keep my teaching muscles strong, to get ready for my next class. And on November 1st, I will have 4 urine-a-day courses going at the same time. You know, when I say teaching witchcraft full-time is my job, I ain't fucking around. Hold on. What is usually done with Samhain? Okay. I think you're trying to spell Samhain, which looks like Samhain. It looks like the word Samhain, but it is pronounced like the word you're phonetically spelling there, Sonny. Samhain, remembering the dead. It's a good time for divination, for scrying, so like, you know, crystal ball stuff, black mirror stuff, that kind of thing. Tarot cards. Because the belief is that the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead is thinnest that night. Remembering your ancestors and leaving offerings is uber important. Now, people talk about cultural appropriation all the time, and there's certain cultures that we will defend and certain cultures that we will not defend because some are black and some are white, ultimately, and that still ain't right. Okay? Now, Samhain, if we are to use that term, and then Halloween, which gets born out of Samhain, all variations, all practices associated that go back to the Irish ancestors. Ireland. Rarely are we respecting the Irish traditions within that, or, you know, typical Americans. Now, the Irish believe the same thing. The veil between the living and the dead was the thinnest, and your ancestors would cross the void that night to come visit you, come see you, come check on you, see how you were doing. In Ireland, hospitality is extremely important. Countless fairy tales and folk tales hinge upon this very thing. God's spirits and fairies traveling the landscape, looking like what we would call homeless people, knocking on your door. You're expected to give them the best bed, the best seat at the dinner table, and the best seat at the hearth, and to entertain them until it's time for bed. To do so was an insult to your entire family line, because often these people were otherworldly beings traveling in disguise in that culture. Now, on Samhain, your ancestors would come to visit you, and they expected a certain thing. The most common thing is called the dumb supper, a plate of the night's meal and drink set out for your ancestors. Sometimes a setting at the dinner table. Some people would set it on a shrine. Some people would set it on, set it outside on the doorstep. But it had to be done. Were you not to do that, it was considered a great insult to your ancestors. Were you not to do this minimal thing, make an offering to your ancestors, they'd be pissed off. They wouldn't exactly kill you or smite you because you're still family and shit, but they would mess with you. They would mess with you. They would haunt your house, hide your chariot keys, even though they didn't really have chariots. Hide things that you needed around the house, mess with you, ghost shit. From this twisted thing, well, I've always noted that the pagan aspects of the holidays that we practice here in the States that are pagan in origin all exist very much intact, just in a plasticized, marketable manner. But the kids dress up as ghouls and ghosts and shit. Sometimes, favorite characters from Star Wars and stuff. And they go house to house asking for treats. Trick or treat. Well, precise speech leads to precise thought. You hear the word trick in there, right? Few people treat these traditions with proper respect. You're expected to deliver. My daughter, who's like, in her 20s now, when she was a kid, I asked her, I said, okay, so You know, when you go up to a house and you're trick-or-treating, what happens if they don't answer the door? She says, well, you know, do they have a jack-o'-lantern on? I said, let's say they do. I said, okay, is the porch light on? Okay, let's say the porch light's on. Okay, did they leave a bowl of candy on the porch? Let's say they didn't. She goes, oh, well, that's not good. I said, okay, so, you know, you're not going to be in trouble. My curiosity, you know, tell me what's supposed to happen next. She says, oh, you're going to get your house egged. You're going to get your trees teepeed. Some people might even put burning bags of dog shit on your door. What my young daughter said to me, 7 years old, I believe, that's tradition. That's the trick. That's trick or treat boiled down through over the centuries to mean in America. The pagan traditions are there, just in this weird bastardized form that you'd hardly fucking recognize. But the kids are playing the part of the ancestors. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do for the ancestors, you know, they're gonna TP your house and shit. So you still should leave stuff just for the ancestors. You know, do that later at night when the kids are done, because you know you don't want a bunch of meat and whiskey on the porch when the kids show up. That could get the cops called. Maybe that in the backyard or something. In England, we walk around with a turnip, and we'd be given money instead of candy. Yeah, well, originally that was a turnip. I think pumpkins are more of an American thing. Likewise, corn gets very confused in paganism and in Wicca. I often see people over here in America making what they call corn dollies out of the husks of corn, maize, which did not exist in England, and I don't believe we exported to England for a very long time. In England, corn meant grain. That's why when you saw corn dollies, they looked more like wheat and shit than anything else. Wheat was a grain, didn't mean corn. We have a problem with language sometimes. So shouldn't make corn dollies out of corn husks, but just we should know the history behind it, that is not what corn dolly meant. It's okay if corn dolly comes to mean something else over time. These things evolve. But Uncle Birch, you know, I tend to like throw my foot in the pile when those things happen and make people mad. Just trying to remind people about the history from whence these terms come from. Corn did not mean maize. It meant grain. Many kinds of grains were woven into dollies back in England and Ireland and Europe and that kind of thing. All right, we just learned something that we weren't even talking about. So we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I'm getting ready for yet another year in a day course to start. This is how I stay fresh. I expose myself to the world and get asked random questions. You're helping me, hopefully I'm helping you. Try not to ask too many, too long-winded a question. Try not to answer me or ask me a question when I'm answering a question. And a good idea to copy and paste your question. And again, we like to thank the folk at Freedom Lampworks on Etsy for sending us a new pipe over here. You know, I'll plug it every time we smoke from it, unless I forget. This is good stuff, and I might have short-term memory loss. You know, it could happen. It could happen. But as you can see, my long-term memory is spot on. How to clear any blockages? Well, I'm not going to pick my plant up again right now because it's getting some sun. Abre Camino. The plant named Abre Camino, used for road opening, is epic. A cup of Abre Camino boiled for steeped boiling water, 10 minutes, allowed to cool, put in the refrigerator. Around the new moon, you stand in a little tub in the shower or in the bathtub, a little plastic tub kind of thing. Pour it over you. Let it just drip down you into the tub. Drip dry for a bit. Air dry. Do not towel dry. Do not bathe or shower for a couple days. you take that stuff from that tub, put it in a little container, take it out to a crossroads, maybe around midnight on the new moon. Throw that stuff in the crossroads. Turn around, walk away. Forget you ever did it. Forget about it. You'll see. You got to have the Abre Camino. Got to have the Abre Camino. There's many other magics for removing obstacles, but Abre Camino just kicks ass. Accept it. Yes. I usually say, typically your ancestors, wherever they came from, had an alcohol they liked best. People from Italy are going to want wine. Marta's ancestors are going to want vodka. My Irish ancestors are going to want a good Irish whiskey. I'm not sure. My African ancestors, are they going to want the rum? Well, eventually, I guess when they come over, my Cuban things are going to want rum. But failing that, it's good to figure out what kind of things they like, if you can. But I've always thought, ancestors, even down
I
to
think
the
all of them will drink vodka.
Yeah. They'll all drink.
All of them drink whiskey.
Yeah, they'll drink what you got. It's sacrifice. You're giving of what you got. You're giving up what you have, and they understand if you don't have the perfect thing for them. And ancestors, gods, goddesses, all of them. I'm not worried about half of this stuff that people worry about. Offending them by giving them the wrong thing. I think they appreciate being remembered. Their ancestors were buried or burned a long time ago. They're happy you remember who the fuck they are. You went through the trouble to go through Ancestry.com or get your DNA done or something just to remember them. Other generations in your family line might not have remembered them. You might not even attend their graves anymore. With regard to like pagan gods and goddesses, they used to have entire nations worship them and were turned into shit and shat upon for thousands of years. And then these new movements come along and dig them up out of the dirt and offer them worship. I think they appreciate whatever the fuck you got. Okay? Don't be tripping. Don't be tripping. I don't think they're tripping. Baron Samedi. That's the graveyard dude, right? The top hat. Some. Yeah. Okay.
Somdi means Saturday.
Somdi means Saturday. Okay, well, we know that Somdi means Saturday, so he's Baron Saturday. And what is that? Is it voodoo or is that hoodoo? Where's he? It's voodoo. It's a voodoo thing. I don't know much about him except he's a guardian of the graveyard. I do actually have somebody sent us one. I don't even know if we still had it, but we had it. We had a thing from New Orleans. Don't know much about him, but in voodoo, he's the keeper of the graveyard, the guardian of the graveyard. You got to make an offering to him to do any work in the graveyard or take anything from the graveyard. Probably a few coins. That's probably where going into the grave in this tradition, 7 coins in this tradition that you leave at the entrance, probably to either him or a figure related to him. Look at it, but I'm right. Let's see. Hello, Uncle Birch and Miss Marta. Captain Freeman. Hello, Captain. Thoughts on animal sacrifices for magic? It's done. The traditions where I've witnessed that kind of thing happen, like I talked about earlier, were farm animals, livestock animals that are going to be slaughtered and eaten. And in our society, in that context, they tend to be treated like shit. But in these traditions that actually sacrifice these animals, they're elevated before death, treated much better and actually killed much more humanely than they tend to be killed in the factory context. But yeah, that is used in sex magic. The blood from such sacrifices is used on the body in sex magic. there's only really so much I could say about that. I have not done animal sacrifice for sex magic, but it is a thing. And spilling the life force of a thing as an energy, like it or not, whether you're opposed to it or not, more energy. This is why some people, were sacrificing cows and that kind of stuff. More life force. The soul is bigger. I don't know, but there is something to be said about that. Does my year and a day course cover spiritual warfare? A bit. We cover defense magic and counter magic, and we cover attack. In this day and age, it's really a necessity. And the lead into my course is that in a year and a day, I teach a witch everything that I believe, with my experience, a witch must know to either go out in the world and join a coven, to be initiated into one of my groups, to go solitary, and to go into business. I am also teaching this particular year and a day course, the one that's being distributed in 2019. I'm teaching shopcraft. I'm teaching brewing techniques, marketing techniques, teaching most of the things that I learned by trial and error. And after, doing many things wrong over time, I'm actually teaching people how to make things and how to set up shop if that's what people want to do. I have a lot of students that are doing that kind of thing, and plenty of room out here. There's plenty that people can do. A day course is rather different than my older one that's available for download, but I think I say very different things in all of those courses. Saw somebody talking shit. I have many little witch wars that go on, and on certain secret pages that think they're secret, where they talk shit about me and my friends. I just get screenshots, and I saw a person talk about how they tried to take one of my courses, and it was just the same old information and regurgitated stuff that everybody else said. I knew right away they'd never experienced any of my courses or even been on my YouTube channel, because that cannot be said. In this podcast, I've regurgitated not a goddamn thing. And every question that you asked, you got a level of answer back that you were not expecting, that you would not get from any other person. I understand that. I recognize that. And it ain't bragging if it's true. My arrogance is earned. I'm good at this one fucking thing. I'm better at this one fucking thing than any other fucking thing. So there ain't nothing regurgitated from any other form in any course I've ever done, even my public material here on YouTube. There may be similar concepts taught in all crafts that are going to come up here and there. The wheel of the year, the cycles of the moon, that kind of crap. But that's not even covered in the standard way in the current course either. I tend to cover the sun and the moon as other concepts, different than different gods and goddesses, very different way. But at any rate, I think that for me to live up to my grandiose claim that they need to know, should they never see me again, to go out and forge their their path through the craft. Absolutely, magical warfare would have to be covered in such a context. I would never send you out into the world unarmed. So, again, class starting November 1st, gumroad.com/witchskewl, WITCHSKEWL. And you'll be able to sign up for it as soon as it becomes available, as slots are available. If you want to secure your spot ahead of time, you got to contact me at witchskewl@gmail.com. That's WITCHSKEWL@gmail.com. Would you say the new year and a day course is better than the downloadable one, or different? I would say different. That's almost 10 years old. In 10 years, I have different things to say, different ways to say them, and more stuff in my bag of tricks. So I think they're standalones. You know, if you got the money, why not have them all? You got time to watch that course. You got time to binge watch that course before November 1st. Then you have it all. Then you go on to the advanced course. And then I have my advanced class downloadable. My new advanced class. It'll be very different than that. Let's see. I read a fair amount, but never had I read what I did at the beginning of your course anywhere else. Yes, Leela, thank you. Now, what are your thoughts on Crowley's idea of goetic demons being part of the human mind? I think there's something to it. We talk about them in that context, but words change their meaning over time. And back in, Solomon's time, spirit meant ghost. In our time, spirit can mean the energy behind an idea and ghost. Crowley's idea of demons, we talk about inner demons now. Our talk about inner demons would totally correspond to what Crowley was saying about goetic demons being part of our mind. We're just looking at it in different terms now, but all of the terms exist. The shadow would be the most known of everybody's internal demons. I would correspond to Crowley's ideas, but advance them into the modern construct that we have now. Our demons are not just ethereal beings, maybe somewhat related to Satan. In our language, we have demons that are parts of our subconscious mind that just cause us problems, basically. Let's see. Sad that spiritual warfare is never taught in the shamanic community. It happens a lot. Yeah. Okay, answer the New Year date course. All right, I'm caught up. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch in preparation for the November 1st course. Let's see, I went in and already wrote an email. All right, I check that email every couple days, so if you got an email in there, you're good. I, being in charge of my course, I have an unlimited amount of slots that I can secure for the course. When my course opens on November 1st, Samhain, midnight-ish, then you take your chances. You can sign up for the course. It's a good thing to go to gumroad.com and set up an account ahead of time, because you're going to need to click on that thing, and it fills up pretty quickly for the people that wait for the last minute. But if you contact me ahead of time at WitchSkewl@gmail.com, WITCHSKEWL@gmail.com, then you got it. You're set. I got you. I got your back. Secure your slot. Now, do make it to your slot. A couple times, we get up there and that person has to abandon their slot. That kind of sucks. Held your slot or somebody else's slot, and you actually couldn't make it. So, no, you can make it. But those slots will be secure. All of those people will still have to go to gumroad.com/WitchSkewl on November 1st and click on it, but their email will be secured in the thing. It's complicated, but now that I'm on my 4th class, I'm getting better at explaining how the goddamn thing works. Part of the whole point of doing it through Gumroad rather than doing it my old-fashioned way is I hated to be a bill collector and remind people to pay for their class every month. This, you pay for your class with your credit card, and every month you're automatically deducted, and I don't have to deal with it. I won't hear about it unless, it doesn't go through. And then it's up to you to fix it and make it go through before you get behind in class. I always hated that part of the job, and I'm willing to pay Gumroad a little chunk to do that for me. Do you know about the Vatican having natal charts of powerful witches deemed essential to this reality? I don't know. of that, but it sounds like them. They have all the best witchcraft books to this day. Their entire tradition is based off of paganism. Have you ever worked with Enochian magic? Yes. Most specifically, the realms of Enochian magic involved in, oh God, honey,
What?
when a word has a rhythm, they're called,
Iambic pentameter?
no, that's really good, but it's not quite as far as I was going.
Okay.
Symbols, oh God, it's the most simple fucking word, I can't come up with it. When a word has a beat, you know, you have 3 beats in a word.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Fuck. That kind of thing. The rhythms of words. I don't know what. Syllable. Thank you,
Oh,
fucking
you
George.
were asking about syllables?
I was asking about syllables. You went to,
Oh.
and what did you say?
Iambic pentameter.
Iambic pentameter. That's great, but you know, and you know, that I'd consider too.
Is way simpler.
And that actually would play into our figures of what we're discussing here. So that kind of thing, specific phonology, the rhythm behind the each word.
Yeah, it has to like kind of sing. I don't know
Yeah,
how to explain it.
yeah, and then that plays into other craft things that I've learned. The bardic ways, lilts, the lilts behind the thing is the rhythm and the flow. It's the song of the sentence, if you will.
The
Song of the sentence. I just pulled that out of my ass for the first time right there. First time I ever said that. English and Witchcraft 101. LOL. Absolutely. Thank you all for helping me stay on track with your classes. Are there set dates that one has to be available? No, because I don't even know when they're going to come out sometimes. This month, the first classes went out like around the 7th, and they get 3 classes per month, and sometimes PDF files, some books, that kind of thing. And then the class that's still live, they've been getting their classes towards the end of the month right now because I'm caught up on the first classes. But at any rate,
I need to redo the marquee for Jewish temple synagogue.
okay, at any rate, the classes are taken at your own rate. There's no specific times. You have a little account there, and all your stuff is kept in your library. You go and watch it when you want, turn in homework when you want. I literally have I have one student right now that I think just finished turning in his homework years ago now. And I have somebody turning in homework from 7 years ago from the downloadable course. I have to go look them up and go, who the fuck is that? I haven't heard from that person. So I am definitely, there's no rush. You take it at your speed, at your level, and get back to me. And no rush. We have a growing Facebook channel just for my students, and I'm waiting for the next class to start doing these kind of live videos there. You know, waiting for there to be enough people to where when I randomly do it, you know, enough people will get in, and so that's kind of be like a little bonus. And this page is contains the students of all 3 so far of the running courses. So we have students that are more advanced than the beginning students. They're teaching each other things, helping each other with their homework and stuff. Got like a kind of whole brewing community just from the witch school. And I'm going to start doing this kind of be a bonus for the witch school people, and they will stay on this page after they've gotten out of that class. You know, after they've graduated, all these students of mine. It's a private page. You can't get on there unless you're in the classes. I will be doing Ask Uncle Birch's only there. And, you know, those are a bit more advanced. You know, I do an Ask Uncle Birch on an extremely new witch page. And as such, they're very new witch questions. And I have a lot of canned answers because I'm asked the same question like 20 times every time I go on. But then I go here on my Facebook channel, and you know, we have a whole gamut, advanced, mid, very beginning questions. Get a lot. Let's see. Today, the anniversary of my daughter's death. How would you try to connect to her if you could? Oh, wow. Emerald City. I had no idea. Oh, sorry for your loss. That's a heavy one. You are connected. You know, it's your DNA, your blood. It's her blood. I've seen people sacrifice a few drops of their blood over the gravesite of a relative, making the connection between that DNA as they are passed. And try. I know Emerald City. I mean, it's your child. Impossible not to be sad. The holes in your heart of those who go away, those that die, and those that just leave, they never heal. Those never go away. But they do become part of who you are. And your daughter will always be a part of that of your heart. It's not there with you, but in your heart. In religions such as ours, you know, as it's hard. I miss people, but I try not to mourn their passing. This is a school that we're in here, and in this school we are exposed to, you know, the pain and suffering of the entire planet. It's, you know, it can have its moments, but it's by and large not a pleasant place. It is the school of hard knocks that we're here, and when somebody is freed from this existence, we got to just celebrate their life rather than mourn their death. They are free. We miss them, of course, but they are in a better place than we are, and we got to remember them always. As hard as that is, try not to mourn them. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to miss them, but they are better off. We always hope that everybody had more years, but this time of year, you know, especially, we start remembering the dead. They start coming back. They start visiting us. Our ancestors start showing up. It's definitely not too early to start an ancestor ritual. Hello, no sound. Well, nobody else has the problem with the sound. If I turn it off, turn it back on. I've seen that happen on other people's videos, and I just exit the video and come back in. Why can't one spell take care of it all? Why must we keep repeating spells for the same stuff? Because the world keeps on moving, man. It keeps changing. I was just teaching that in a class today. With regard to money magic, for the average peasant out there who was not born a life of privilege, we need to keep in mind that magic follows the path of least resistance. The resistance to us getting ahead, making money, becoming wealthy, becoming rich, there's a lot of resistance, you know? If we were born wealthy, there's not a lot of resistance. This world is made to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. Because the rich need the poor to serve them. It's a rigged game, unless you can find a way outside the box. But I'm not going to tell you that here, because other people just paid to hear me say it in my class. But so money magics must be constant for most people. Honey jars for attracting money are always a good thing, because honey jars are the type of magic that we continually work. And I found that when the honey jar heats up, when the candle reaches the honey jar, like, you know, honey jars typically in hoodoo didn't have candles burn on them, but it's common now. When I work a honey jar and the candle reaches the lid, that's when I see the honey jar work. It needs to heat up. I got honey jars sitting in the sun because the sun is going to heat them up. Because money's the thing that you constantly got to work. The stuff that there's resistance against you in the world, even love. You know, I ain't a hippie, okay? I don't look at the world and see an orb of peace and love. You know, when we do have peace, when we do have love, those are great things, few and far between, but that is not the majority of what happens here on Earth. Maybe I'm jaded, maybe that happens with time. So even like love magic and love spells, there's a lot more to overcome. And I've said this since the dawn of my teaching. Negative magics, dark magics, hexing, this kind of thing has more fuel in the mortal world, for lack of a better word, to fuel it than a magic of love and peace. There's more of the opposite going on in this world than there is the fluffy shit. So when you want to do the fluffy shit, when you want to do the nice shit, you've got to do a magic large enough to overcompensate for the resistance that you will face. The resistance for you to make money, to get ahead, is large. You gotta always be doing money magic. You gotta constantly work at that thing. Every moon, keep working until you're there, until you're rich. All right, so we're gonna do 2 more questions on here. Then I gotta go. It's been long enough. You're welcome, Emerald City. Let's see if we had one. How many classes per month in the program are you teaching the live? The video lessons are at least 3 a month, and then there's text and PDF and stuff that goes along with that. The live on the WitchSkewl, I haven't started doing that yet. I'm waiting till the next class starts. Then we're going to go do that, and I will try to set up a schedule for that. But it is a thing that I tend to do rather randomly. I just want to make sure there's enough people on the WitchSkewl page to make that lucrative for all of the students and for myself to do that. But so we're waiting. All of those classes are still going. Why can't you do it all? Why must we do different spells? Okay. This will be the last question for this one. A book. Wait. When you enroll, you keep the videos of your class. Yeah, when you enroll, you end up with like this library, and then my classes are accessible to you forever until Gumroad goes out of business, I guess. But yeah, and I believe you can just download them all to your hard drive, and then you own them. So yeah. Let's see, what was I trying to answer? The courses, that's $35 a month for a year. I think that's $420 for the year. Full moon tonight, yes. I'm starting to ask a question. Oh yes. One of my favorite books that's not specifically related to witchcraft, but I view all things and how they relate to witchcraft, and you will either hate or love the book. It's a horrible and perfect book. The 48 Laws of Power. This is why you can't do a spell for everything. Intensity beats extensity every time. On the battlefield, we must find an enemy's weakness and focus all of our forces on that weakness. To break the enemy's lines, to break through the enemy's lines and then swing around behind them and flank them and attack them from behind. We can only do that if we punch a hole in the line. We can only punch a hole in the line if we focus on that point where we believe the hole will hole. Okay? If we hit several parts along that line, we never will. It may be useful to feint an attack on this piece of line order to focus all of our forces on this piece of the line, so this piece can't focus on that piece. But at any rate, we have to focus on the small battles. Wars are not fought at once. Wars are a series of small battles that lead us to an ultimate victory or ultimate defeat. It is necessary to fight each individual battle with perfection and intensity. We need to beat each individual problem into submission before going on to another problem. There are many problems maybe in our lives. Maybe good luck would cover a lot of those things, but it's still one focal point. If we find one focal point that benefits us in many portions of our lives, that's helpful. But we need to focus on one, beat it into submission, throw that spell at it. And then, really, what we want to do each one of those times, we want to throw everything at that spell. And then, forget about it. Let it go. Forget we even cast that spell for 3 moons. Now, if we threw on that and then went to this, that would help us forget about that. Now we're focused on this. So we've hit a point, and then we hit our other point while this point's being hit. That's strategical right there, man. That's fucking brilliant. That's generally right there, man. So that way, magically, we can focus everything, let it go, and then focus everything over here, and that's helping us let this go. So intensity beats extensity every time. Don't be having a bunch of little fucking things going on all the time that you can only give a little bit of energy to. None of those are going to manifest to be fucking anything worth shit. You got to be able to devote all of your shit at one thing. And then go to the other thing while this thing's doing its thing. That's the thing. There you have it. Merry meet. Merry part. Merry meet again, yo.